So it is spooky season, which happens to be my favorite season.
Yes, I remember this is your favorite time of the year, fall, with all of the things that are going on in the area, but you get to bring out the decorations and
Right,
for
specifically
the yard.
Halloween. And Halloween is the one day of year you can be anybody that you want to be.
Oh, is
And
that why
people
you
don't
like
look
it?
at you weird. Yeah. You want to be a princess? Let's put the crown on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is that your choice?
You want to be a witch? All day. Hand me the broom.
Yeah, I think it depends on the day, really, what you would want to be at that
Right.
point.
So today I wanted to talk about like some of the things that come with fall and Halloween in this area, which really is a benefit of certain communities because some don't have them and some do.
Yes, we have a very festive driven community. There's always festivals and things that are going on, and especially for the fall, it's like there's 1,000 things you can do.
Right, and you saw in September you had the Popcorn Festival and the Greek Festival, and we just had Oktoberfest down at Dayton Art Institute, and I really haven't figured out why all of these festival organizations haven't gotten together and like spread them out, because I feel like they all happen on the same weekend.
Like there's several different types at one given time. So if you think about from Beaver Creek to Kettering to Dayton to Springboro to all of these different areas, like you would have a hard time keeping up even just going to one or two of those things.
Right.
It's a very hectic schedule for sure.
Yeah, but each of them are unique and they all have their own benefits. You know, there's the Pretzel Festival in Germantown, the Mum Festival in Tip City. It's not repeats, which
Right.
is cool. So
Right.
you can go to multiple ones and see something different every single time. Some of them have rides, some of them don't. Some of them have, like Oktoberfest really focuses on their beer, where other places will focus on like their vendors and things. So
Yes, it's a great experience, and it's a great way to kind of see what each of the different communities have to offer, what their specialties are, as well as the businesses that are in those areas to support that activity and everything too.
yeah. So beyond festivals, there are other festivities that are with fall, like pumpkin patches, and those are great for little kids all the way to older people, and they're locally grown pumpkins, so you're supporting like a local business. Some of them that I have been to that are really cool is if you're north, there's Fulton Farms. So if you have a big group, you can reserve like an area, and then you've got like a bonfire, and you can bring your own food, like hot dogs or chili or whatever fall food you want. And then they also have tractor rides,
Like a
out.
hayride?
Yeah, and then you get to pick your own pumpkin, which is cool.
Yeah, I know when my sons were younger, a lot of the football or sports groups would do events to bring their teams out and everything. So that was always fun, especially for football, because that seems to be fall geared, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it is a great way. Kids love going out there, bobbing for apples. I mean, you can do all the different
Bobbing
things.
for apples is so gross. You put your face in.
I don't know if they do that now after COVID, though.
Oh, they shouldn't. It is like a cesspool of germs. Anyway, but other kid activities. So out in right past Yellow Springs is Young's Dairy.
Yes.
And they have their pumpkin patch set up. And there you can see different animals.
They have petting zoo.
Yeah, and I think they have their carousel out now that opened, so an indoor, and their ice cream is amazing.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. One of the staples in our area.
Right, so even though you can go to Young's, 365 days a year, it's still cool because they add all their fall stuff in.
Right, and I think that's the difference is those communities and or businesses that take it on and go with the vibe of what is the current season.
Yeah.
Kind of gives you more reason to go out there and be involved and everything. I mean, when your mornings are starting at a cool 40 degrees, but by the afternoon you're in the warm 70s, you have to layer.
Yeah.
So kiddos have to be layered up for their activities and everything, but it definitely sets the mood to start the morning that way, and then by the afternoon you're able to start taking it down and being active and doing all the fun stuff.
Right. And then out in Germantown, you have Tom's Maze, which I'm not sure if they do pumpkins or not, but that's cool because you go through this maze.
The corn maze,
The
right?
corn maze, yeah. and you have to like get out of it, but it's not scary.
Right.
So it's, good for your younger ones that like to run. Because
Yes.
they'll run right to a dead end and they're kind of boxed in.
Yes. But like you said, not necessarily scary.
Yeah.
Of course, we have lots of the scary things too
Coming up.
that start hitting towards this end of this month, where we'll see a lot of activities taking place for that too.
Yeah. And then the last one, kind of in the southern part of our area, is Hidden Valley Farms.
Yes.
Which I remember going there as a kid. And I think they had just a little hayride that you could go out, pick a pumpkin, come back. It wasn't scary.
Yes, warm apple cider.
Right. Speaking of apples, so this weekend we did something fun. We took the two littles out to Fifer Orchards
Okay.
in Yellow Springs.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty close to Young's. And we picked apples.
Nice.
Yeah, so you pay, I think it's like $2 to enter the farm. And then they have like a store where you can get apple cider and you can get pumpkins and all of that stuff. Or you can go pick your own. And so we got a apple basket. And then we went out, and then they showed you have to check in with like the farm attendant, and they tell you which ones you can pick from. And that day, it was the Gold Rush apples.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we picked as many as we wanted. So we have like $50 worth of apples that we're probably not going to eat.
You're going to make some
At
apple
home.
pies?
Oh, we're
or
going to do something.
applesauce? I don't
Yeah.
know.
But okay, so this surprised me. I've never done this before. And these apples weren't shiny.
The
So if you think about
shininess is
it-
the wax coating they put on it, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
when you go to a grocery store, and I didn't know that.
Yes.
So I guess you learned something new, even in
Yeah.
your 30s, about apples. But you can also, on the way like back, you can go out and pick your own pumpkin. And they have pumpkins, they have gourds, and all kinds of stuff you can pick. And then they also had berries.
Oh.
So they had raspberries and I think some blueberries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which one of my friends has a raspberry tree in her backyard by accident. And she said it is the best raspberry she's ever had. Like,
Wild raspberries.
yeah, that they're so much better than the things you get at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So the boys liked it?
Yes, they loved it. And
They
they
had-
could run. And the only downside is bees love apples.
Yes.
And there was lots of bees in these orchards.
So it's not cold enough yet to take
Like-
care of the bees.
Yeah.
So you do have to be aware.
Yep. So they tell you, like, don't eat the apples while you're out here. Like, don't grab one and bite into it. Because you will, like, a guy, I guess, got stung on the lip last week. Yeah.
My mom, odd story, actually bit into, she wasn't eating an apple, but we were sitting outside having some event going on, and she took a bite of her, I think it was her sandwich or whatever, and a bee was on it. She didn't see it. So she got stung on the inside of her mouth, and it really did swell up. She doesn't have like a bee allergy, but it was just where and how it happened.
Yeah.
So yes, I can imagine if the bees are all around the apples and everything, they don't want you to eat them while you're there.
Yeah, especially any that have busted open and fallen to the ground. They were swarmed all over those.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So moving on to the last bit of like not scary stuff is trunk or treats. So all over this area is trunk or treats. I mean, you can find one basically every day of the week.
Whether it's a private organization, a nonprofit, schools, again, a lot of the
Churches.
boosters will do that, and
Yeah.
churches are doing that.
And even some of the cities. So one of the biggest ones is down at Austin Landing. And it's really cool. They partner with a Jeep car club. And so every different Jeep passes out candy, and then they have some of the elected officials down there and other nonprofits. And then the businesses at Austin Landing go bring out tables and then
Yes.
have, pass it. Like I think one passed out Chewies, and they pass out like chips and
Nice.
salsa and stuff. Yeah,
Nice.
so it was cool. I've
So-
done that one a couple years now.
If you're worried about your kiddos taking and doing all this candy and everything, something else kind of goes along with this as the season progresses. There are dental offices that do a candy buyback. So if your kids aren't going to eat like the 50 pounds of candy that they bring home from
Yeah.
a trunk or treat or whatever,
After you take your parent tax.
yeah,
That's a real thing.
then you can go have the dentist office buy back this candy, which is just kind of fun. Again, they can go through and pick out a few of the things that they want and keep, obviously.
Yeah.
And then those dental offices make a donation to Blue Star Mothers here locally that then take that candy and send overseas in care packages to our military who are deployed. So it's kind of like a life cycle of what happens to the candy if everybody doesn't eat it. It
Yeah.
could be passed on and around for good causes. So it's kind of a nice way to take and do the event and enjoy it, get a little bit of the stuff, and then pass it on to others.
Oh, I love that. I
Yes.
didn't know about that. Because that's also good for like kids that are diabetic
Yes.
or braces,
Yes.
you know, because that can really mess up
All the
a
sticky,
$5,000
chewy
mouth.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So then, and I will note that trick or treat is actually on Halloween for most communities this year. Usually it's like 6 to 8 or somewhere in there. And we can put some times.
In our messages below.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds good. And then let's move on to the scary stuff.
You're just waiting for that, right?
Yes. And we have one of the best scary, would it be like a walkthrough? It's not really a maze. I don't know what they call it, but Land of Illusion down in Middletown.
Yes, that whole thing. Like the whole, it's like a little city complex that's set up, right?
Right. And there's like multiple different ones that you can go into. So you can pick like a pass that takes you into all of them, or you can pay just which one you want to go into. And kind of the earlier you go, the less wait there is.
Yes. So a lot of people like to do that early on. And again, that's kind of one of those where you can go to all of the different communities and get a different experience.
Yeah.
So literally from Land of Illusions, Kings Island does a little bit of something too for Halloween Spook Fest or something.
Yes. And they have, I think it's like 15 different mazes that you can go through.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you have Fairborn, who's just a city of Halloween events and things that take place normally. So Foy's out there is like the big draw, and you'll see they close down the city streets, and it's just a multiple event throughout the weekends of the month of October and November. Where
Yeah, and I think they actually have a festival too coming up. Yeah. And they've already, I was just out there last week, and they have all of the big pirate ship is up and the different spooky animatronics like throughout the city street.
Yeah.
Yeah, already.
Have you ever done the caverns going north?
No.
Outside of Lewisburg?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah. That is definitely something that if you haven't done, it's a walking tour through the cavern. So you get to go into this entry, and if you are claustrophobic or a little scaredy cat like I am, it might not be the thing for you.
Yeah.
Definitely traumatic, but I don't want to give away anything, but it's definitely.
It's just people in costumes.
Yeah, yeah,
And makeup.
That's what they keep saying. Until you hear the sound of the, what is that called?
Chainsaw?
Until you hear the sound of the chainsaw,
Yeah.
and that freaks you out a little bit because it's like, holy crap, where do you go? It definitely scarred a couple of my kids. They still to this day cringe when they hear the sound of a chainsaw.
Oh, gosh.
But it's definitely one of those things that'll get your heart pumping, your adrenaline going, and it's intense.
Yeah. So if you go a little bit south from the Dayton area in Wilmington, I think, there is the haunted bus ride.
Oh.
And like 10-ish years ago, we went to it and waited in a line for like 4 hours in the middle of a cornfield. And so the actual bus ride is only like, I don't know, 10 minutes long. But they cut off the tops of buses. And so instead of like sitting in a tractor of hay, you're in a bus.
In a bus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I just remember the ride was cool. But waiting in line, there was a guy with a mask on that kept coming out in this car, like an old car. I don't know what they're called, but they're like real rusty looking and real low to the ground. And he was doing donuts in the middle, like 10 feet from people.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to get run over. Like, he has a mask on. He can't see. Like, this is going to be terrible. Nobody did. But yeah, it's a really cool attraction. And not far from that is the USS Nightmare, which is on the river down in Cincinnati. And it is one of the top in the United States.
Oh.
Yeah.
So way south of here, about an hour-ish drive.
Yeah.
USS Nightmare.
Yep, and it's on a boat. And you can also take riverboat cruises on their boats, like, that are not scary, you know, all the time. One of my friends is actually the executive chef there, so she's been telling me all about them getting ready for the Halloween stuff.
That's cool.
But yes, but then they turn one of the boats into this haunted attraction during Halloween. So,
Interesting.
yeah, and a fun fact is Ohio has the most scary attractions of any state in the United States.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so we love our spooky stuff. I'm not the only one.
So speaking of spooky stuff, one time we were doing a house showing just to, because you never know who is in the house and things that happen and all of that. But the house was empty. So you assume that everything is cleared out. And my client went to open the attic door that was like offset in one of the bathrooms upstairs. So it was a little bit of a loft area.
Yeah.
And the people before had left their scarecrow and Halloween decorations, but it was right there at the door. So when he opened it up, literally, you want to talk about somebody jumping out of their skin. I thought the man was going to have a heart attack. It was
that's funny.
Not what you would expect, but it taught me a very important lesson. Just be careful when you open the doors, because just because the house is empty doesn't mean it's really empty.
You're right. And speaking of decorations, do you like to decorate your house more spooky or more cute fall?
So my youngest son is actually October 30th as a baby. So we've always had that
Little
draw
warlock.
between, do you go Halloween vibe or do you do birthday? So he's had kind of like the benefit of everybody would come to the party because they could dress up and do all the stuff and then go trick-or-treating depending on when it fell.
Yeah.
But we've always been kind of torn as, do we celebrate birthday or do we celebrate Halloween or just mix the two?
Yeah. That's how my son is for Thanksgiving, because he was born on Black Friday.
Oh.
So it kind of falls on Thanksgiving every couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to make that decision, and
Right.
we're really celebrating you.
Yeah. For dinner or dessert for dinner, we have birthday cake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So what I do with decorations is I do like spooky outside and cute inside.
Oh,
because
that's
a lot
good.
of the cute fall inside can actually go beyond October 31st into Thanksgiving. Because, it's pumpkins and plaid and
Yeah.
Leaves and things like that.
That's a
I
good
just
idea.
got the best smelling candle. It's a pumpkin bourbon candle from Target.
Ooh,
Yeah.
pumpkin bourbon. So it's not really sweet then. It's going to have another tone into it.
Yes.
Nice.
It's just got this like fall aroma in my house now.
So come over and have a drink.
Yeah. And so outside, I actually finished putting up all of my decorations, and I got the 12-foot flying witch.
So you got the big one.
I did. And then next to it, I have an 8-foot skeleton. And all of these are electronics. So they all have like crazy eyes, or they talk to you, or the witch cackles when you walk by. And she is pretty intense. She has like a whole electronic box in her where you set like how loud she can be and her eyes when they light up and all of that. It's pretty cool.
If I remember correctly, when we were looking at these houses back then, somebody on the street had a big, a skeleton or something?
Yes. So my neighbor has a 12-foot skeleton, and last year it was behind his fence, and then he had all these little baby skeletons and little kid skeletons. They were kind of trying to run and escape the fence and run away. And this year he has it set up like it's baseball. So they're all playing baseball in his front yard.
That's cute.
Yeah, and the hurricane winds that we had, kind of recently, the head fell off. And
Of the 12-foot?
Yeah.
Oh.
So we drove by and we're like, oh my gosh, that was like our only issue of anything that was gone, but we found it and they like zip tied it back.
Oh, I was going to say, is it a headless skeleton now? Or
I know. Next year would be like the headless horseman.
But that's kind of cool. I know there are some neighborhoods that everybody's going out, like everybody does Christmas lights, and the neighborhood will all do that, and you have people that drive through. So I've seen more of people wanting to do that with Halloween activities and things like that for their neighborhood.
Yeah, in Huber Heights, they actually do Huber Haunts.
Yes.
And so they have like a map, and there's, 10 or 15 homes that you can go, and then they have people from the community that actually judge, and then you can win an award for it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So lots to do coming up there, and things to be interested in, or new things to kind of check out and see.
Yeah. And if you've been to something cool, like leave it in the comments so that
Tell us about it. Yeah.
we can go partake.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Happy fall.
Happy fall.
Thanks for joining us today on the Real Tea Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.